Tell us a little bit about what you saw and being able to relay that message to Cora when you watched Kimbrel pitch and kind of help out so he wasn't tipping his pitches.
So tipping pitches, we hear about it all the time.
People at home understand what tipping pitches is all about.
It's amazing.
And that's remarkable.
Alex, welcome to the off season. This is where we get to have the real fun.
I know, no games that we have to feel compelled to talk about. We can get really in our bag here.
Do you think that the last 6 weeks of talking about baseball as like serious analysts, capital S, capital A, how do you think that went on the scale of 1 to 10?
Like doing actual predictions, who's going to win this game versus that game?
Yeah, just like analyzing how teams are performing. Why are teams doing well? Why are teams not doing well? What would you give yourself? I guess both of us on a scale of 1 to 10. Together, please. I don't want to be graded.
Right. Okay. I think you
were kind of like a 3, and I was like a 9. You know,
right.
So we average out in the middle. We're like a 6.
I was going to say the other way around. To be honest, I think you elevated some of our. I think actually at one point during the playoffs, you texted me, said, "Hey, remember when I said this thing was going to happen? That just exactly happened on the field." So I think you brought some very cutting perspectives.
Tipping pitches knows ball. I think. The streets are saying, you walk outside right now and you ask the first person you see, does tipping pitches know ball? They're going to be like, get away from me, you weirdo. Unless you happen to find someone who's wearing a unionized the minor shirt in the wild, which I still have never done. But everyone else I know has.
I'll give us like a 6.5, you know, room for improvement, I think.
6.5. Dang.
I don't know if that's high or low in your book.
That's low. I always love when you ask someone like a scale of 1 to 10. Everyone's answer is always 7. So I appreciate that you went below that. They're always like 7, you know, 7 seems like the nice answer.
That's the safe answer.
If you're like an 8, you're like, oh, okay. Wow, you must really like yourself.
Yeah. I'll give us the pitchfork like 7.1, you know, for an emo album. Like, it's not good enough to be best new music, but like you should give it a listen.
It's not for me, but it's filling a niche.
Right.
We're like the 7.1 of podcasts, you know, the people who like it.
Right.
We're never going to attract new people.
We've found our target audience.
No one ever listens to this and is like, another 10. They did it.
Nope.
That's not true. Sometimes we get up in the 8 range.
Yeah.
I think today is one of those episodes.
I would say that this episode consistently is one of those ones that scratches the top for us.
It's Dumbest Things of 2023, Dumbest Things of the Baseball World in 2023 with our friends at Batting Around, Lauren, Jane, and Steven. And we've been doing this is our 3rd year doing this now. It's very exciting. Before we get to that, we have quite a bit of housekeeping to do. So it's our first episode of the off season. We've hinted in the past about revamping Patreon a little bit, so we're just going to spend a couple minutes talking about that before we get into the episode with Jane, Lauren, and Steven. First things first, Tipping Pitches has a Patreon. If you're listening to this right now and you're not aware of that, maybe this is your first time listening to the podcast. Hello, welcome, thank you for listening. If you've never checked it out or paid much attention to it, that's okay. We launched it at the beginning of the season in 2022, so it's been going for a little bit over a year at this point, or I guess well over a year at this point. First things first, I want to say I truly, truly, truly appreciate the support that we've received on Patreon. A lot of that support has just been as a way of saying thank you for doing the show over the years and providing it to people for free. We are always going to continue to do that. There will always be your Monday morning or thereabouts, depending on the schedule, episode of Tipping Pitches, free, available wide in all of your feeds, in all of your apps, no matter where you listen. The community that's been built around the show has honestly been the reason that we're still doing it, the reason that we've kept going, the reason that we've done however many hundreds of episodes, power hours, mailbags, AMAs, Alex choosing a new team, all of these things. It's because the community has made it so fun to put this content out into the world for people. So thank you to everybody, even if you're not a patron. If you are a patron or if you're considering becoming a patron, this next couple minutes will sort of delineate how we're changing the Patreon going forward. We do watch-alongs during the season. This year, we were a little bit delinquent on them. So instead of doing them every other month like we said we would do it. We did it once per round of the postseason, and it was really fun to see everybody out there to join to watch baseball games together. We are going to plan on continuing to do that. Previously, this was a perk for the top tier of our Patreon. It will now just become a perk for all 3 tiers of the Patreon. So if you're a patron at all, if you're in our Slack, you will have access to those throughout all of next year. I guess that is a good transition to say that we also have a Slack for the Patreon, which is just a place where everybody can come together and chat. It's a vibrant and bustling community. And honestly, one of the biggest reasons to join the Patreon is because of all of the other people who have done the work into making that Slack such a fun place to be in, to talk about baseball, to digest the game, serious or silly or whatever you want it to be. There's hundreds of channels, team-specific channels. There's channels for other sports. There's channels for talking about who you think are the hottest players in baseball. It's really runs the gamut. So you can join our Slack at any level of support for the Patreon. There are 3 different tiers for our Patreon. There's the $5 tier, there's a $7 tier, and there's a $12 tier. At the $5 tier, you get, like I said, access to that Slack. You'll now get access to all of those watch-alongs. You'll get a shout-out when you join, a one-time shout-out when you join. At that $7 tier, you'll get all of those same perks from the $5 tier. You also get a one-time free sticker packet. We are now moving our occasional newsletter into the middle tier, and that newsletter will now be available in the Patreon app as a text post. If you've been a supporter at the top level, you know that the newsletter is something that we have sent out periodically over the last year and a half or so. It's usually just an expansion of our thoughts on a topic that maybe didn't quite make sense to talk about in podcast form, or maybe we brought it up in podcast form and wanted to just dive in deeper via written word about a topic. I think some of our more like intellectual, like thought-provoking stuff has gone into that newsletter because the podcast, for better or for worse, has become, very jokey, very bit-centric, and all about like kind of fun things that we're enjoying about baseball. And some of the things we're like working through our thoughts on things have been expressed through the newsletter. I've greatly enjoyed reading your newsletters. Writing my newsletters has helped me organize thoughts. So that will be going into the $7 tier. Do you commit to writing a newsletter every day next year, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's doable given the track record. Yeah, we're actually going to set benchmarks. So 6 to 8 blogs per day, and we're going to compensate ourselves based on the viewership on each of those blogs.
We're just recreating 2010 Huffington Post.
Right, exactly. With Jezebel going down the drain, someone else has to
has to pick up that. What are they doing?
I know, right?
Actually, no. I mean, the newsletter will be. We're conceiving of it as monthly. And they're usually pretty lengthy, like they're like 1,000 words. Like it's like a real full column. They are, we do read them and edit them, and we don't like do a full fact check of them or anything, but it's working some of those journalistic muscles that Alex and I have and studied and started this show with, but that don't always show up on the podcast themselves. So we're conceiving of them as monthly. Who knows? Maybe they'll be slightly more frequent. It'll just kind of be, as often as we are able to do them. We do still have 9-to-5 jobs that are not related to this podcast. So that's the middle tier. And then there's the top tier, which is the Alex Rodriguez VIP Club. Do you think A-Rod will ever be like, why are you using my name and likeness?
I think there have been points over the last year where I've conceived of various A-Rod related merch items, right? We haven't released new merch in a little bit. But something tells me if we started profiting off of his name, image, and likeness, we might get a cease and desist.
Okay, so we want
what's the better cease and desist to get? Is it the MLB one or the A-Rod one?
I think definitely MLB.
Right.
So the top tier right now includes everything from those first 2 tiers. It also includes a handwritten Tipping Pitches holiday card, which we've only done 1 round of because the holidays have only come through once. They're coming up soon. We got to get started on those designs and getting those shipped out. If you are in that tier or you have been in that tier at any point throughout this year, you'll get your handwritten holiday card from either me or Alex. We will not both write on all of those cards because it's quite a few people. And
right. we trade each word back and forth.
Right, exactly. It's like Mad Libs. I think people would pay more if it was actually like that. And then the big change, so far all of the changes that we've mentioned so far have kind of been reshuffling, restructuring of the Patreon. The biggest change is that we are going to be doing bonus episodes. So there are a few different ways you'll be able to receive these bonus episodes. We'll release a Q&A as a text post on the Patreon. We'll also reshare that stuff in the Slack and whatnot about how to acquire that bonus content if you are at that top level, which is $12 a month. These bonus episodes will be starting almost right away, almost right from when you're listening to this episode later this week. We will have two bonus rounds of the Dumbest Things of 2023 draft with Batting Around, and that will be our first full bonus episode for the Patreon feed. But going forward, during this off season, we will have kind of additional content like this when we do episodes that are kind of themed around one thing, like Dumbest Things of 2023. We have a fun episode coming up with Cespedes Family Barbecue guys, which I'm really looking forward to, which lends itself great to bonus Patreon content. We'll be doing movie watch-alongs with people in the baseball world or in the media world, where it's just kind of like a movie commentary track for baseball movies. Those will be in the Patreon bonus feed. And in terms of frequency, these will be every other week. So it'll basically be like 2 extra episodes per month, thereabouts. They will fall on Thursdays, whereas our normal episode falls on Mondays. When the regular season rolls around next year, it will largely switch to just being a 3 up, 3 down full episode, which, if you've been listening for a long time, you know, is a segment that we used to do during the regular season, where we would talk about 3 things that gave us joy in the baseball world and 3 things that took away from our joy in the baseball world. And that would end up being about 45 minutes in the second half of an episode. And we usually make our episodes very long. We stopped doing that as a segment every week this past year. We would sometimes do it as a full episode, just to play catch up on some of the things that we hadn't had a chance to talk about over the last couple weeks or so. Now it will be going as Patreon bonus episodes every other Thursday during the regular season. So, to recap, bonus Patreon episodes. It will be bonus interview content or bonus guest content from when we have episodes like the one you're about to listen to. It will be movie commentary episodes where we'll provide an audio track, and if you start the movie at the same time, you will hear us talk about the things as they are happening in front of you on the screen. We have some fun guests that we're lining up for those ones that I'm really excited. I'm really excited for everybody to hear. And then during the regular season, it will be 3 up, 3 down. And these will be every other week. They're about... Am I missing anything? Is anything confusing? Do I need to explain anything more, Alex? I feel like I'm doing a lot of salesmanship.
No, I think you explained it perfectly. Again, we have hinted at the possibility of bonus content since sort of starting the Patreon, and it turns out you actually have to make that content. It takes work to make that content. So we're actually going to start putting in the work and offering these additional episodes, which we hope are a little looser, a little more fun, the cutting room floor sort of stuff that we aren't able to get into in the meat of the episodes, and those will exist on a separate feed that you'll be able to gain access through the Patreon. So obviously keep an eye out for that. And we'll delineate sort of the benefits that come along with each Patreon tier as well on that actual Patreon, patreon.com/tippingpitches. I've said the word Patreon so many times in the last 60 seconds. So I hope y'all don't forget it.
Patreon.com/tipping
/tipping pitches.
/tipping pitches. Last thing I want to say on this. So when we launched the Patreon, we've said this a bunch of times, but truly overwhelmed with the support that people showed us just for having created the show and having been doing it for a while, and people just saying such nice things about wanting to support us and wanting to support the kind of way that we talk about the sport. I mentioned this is not either of our full-time jobs. Both of our jobs have come up on this show in various degrees in the past. This is a truly a passion project, but as you know, probably from listening to the show for however long you've been listening to it, we're also really passionate about the media world and work and practicing sustainable ways to create things and for people to be compensated for that. And to us, in our minds, like that is what the Patreon is. And we want to continue to create more good stuff for people who are signing up at that top tier and really like making it possible to devote the amount of time that we devote to this show every week. And as we devote more time to it, I'm really hoping that like people get a lot out of that, those extra episodes, the extra creativity that we're putting into trying out new formats, new episode formats, more episodes. And I don't know, like in the long run, it would be great to just do this all the time. You know,
Right, I mean,
just do this full time. Like it truly,
it's gonna reach a tipping point. I just want to say, right, when the Patreon becomes fully self-sustaining, you're gonna be getting newsletters every day. We're gonna not know what to do with ourselves.
If the Patreon was big enough and both of us quit our jobs, I would just write a newsletter just to hang, you know, just to get people in the comments just chatting. I had to put all this creative energy somewhere. You know, I'll be writing newsletters about movies. I'm like, hey, I watched another 3 movies last night. Here's a newsletter. But this is all part of a larger thing. This is all part of a larger evolving relationship that we have to creating the show, to creating podcasts in general, whether that be the Tipping Pitches normal episode, the Tipping Pitches Patreon episodes, or whether that be future podcast ideas, of which Alex and I come up with on a near weekly basis, you know? So the more support that we feel, the more able we are to commit this much time to this sort of thing, and the more it makes sense to do so. And yeah, that's my stump speech for why you should check out the Patreon and why you should try it out. And if you can't, listen, truly, I do not begrudge anyone who does not sign up for the Patreon and just wants to keep hanging out and listening to the normal episode, because that is really the core foundational form of support that we need, is you to keep hanging out, listening to the original Tipping Pitches.
The last thing I'll say, and then we'll get to this week's actual episode, is that we really encourage feedback from all of you, right? We want this to be a dialogue of sorts. So if you have thoughts about content you're interested in seeing, whether it's something that has been discussed on the podcast or not, whether you're a part of the Patreon or not, we want you all to feel emboldened to write in, call in, let us know how we're doing. Give us that 5-star iTunes rating, or give us that 1-star iTunes rating. You know, be true to yourself. Honestly, I like the haters. You know, they keep us.
You thrive off the haters.
I really, really do. Yeah.
I want you to take on the Patreon episodes like a different persona, you know, like a battle. You like treat life like a battle rapper. You know, like everything is a slight to you. You're from the mud. B-ball Paul Reed.
I think I can do that.
Have I told you that I've committed myself to the Philadelphia 76ers this year?
You have not told me that.
I'm just looking for pain, you know? I'm looking for like that Mets level of pain.
Yeah.
365. And I gotta say,
it's a good pick.
So far, 7-1. Great James Harden trade. Good vibes all around.
Mm-hmm.
With the very strange exception that Kelly Oubre Jr. was struck by a car, which is very terrifying, and I hope he's doing well. Tyrese Maxey, incredible guy to root for. He's like my friend, like my basketball Francisco Lindor. Great choices all around. I'm making great choices. This is the kind of stuff you're going to hear about more on the Patreon.
That's right.
The Patreon just becomes our diary. It's just like confessional about like how we're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Sixers chat.
Yeah. Last night, talk. Dave Cavill was in my dreams.
He's your sleep paralysis demon.
He really is. He looms over my bed.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of Dave Cavill content coming, so let's not put it off any longer. We are going to do Dumbest Things of 2023 with Batting Around, but before we do, I am Bobby Wagner.
I am Alex Baisley.
And you are listening to Tipping Pitches. Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and even earn money all in one place for free, Alex. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and I got to know how it works.
I'd be happy to tell you, Bobby. Spotify for Podcasters is really easy. It lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone.
From where?
Right from your phone or computer.
No way.
So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today.
Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. That is very important. People are listening to podcasts everywhere these days, I hear.
Video podcasts are also available on Spotify for those who like being in front of the camera. You can even kickstart conversations with your fans, as listeners of this show well know, with Q&As and polls.
With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways. Differentiated revenue streams, very important. We know all about that, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it is totally free with no catch.
Spotify for Podcasters has made it really easy for us to distribute our podcasts, monitor analytics, and engage with our fan base all in one space. So if you're interested, download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
Okay, dumbest things of 2023 in the wider baseball world. As always, we are joined by our friends at Batting Around, Steven, Jane, and Lauren. Hi, everyone. How's it going? How are you guys?
Good.
Yeah, we're recovering from the postseason, as you two probably are as well. Kind of in those first couple weeks after, a little bit like a detox.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It is kind of like a hangover, but in the way that, like, you know, you can drink alcohol to put the hangover at bay. I'm like, God, if I just had like one more baseball game, would it feel like this?
See, we're recovering, you know, we're like restoring all of our energy from having to actually talk about baseball for the last month.
Yeah.
I weirdly feel like, though, you on your podcast have gone deeper, like down the rabbit hole on non-baseball topics. You do talk about baseball more often than us somehow. Like it's almost
true.
Boomeranged all the way around.
It is funny how, like, yeah, we ended up being like one of the less horny podcasts over the last 2 months than most of the other kind of podcasts in our sort of sphere.
They're just trying to everybody's just trying to steal your flow, you know?
Yeah, but we've kind of moved on, you know? It's we're ahead of the game. Yeah, we're ahead of the game there. Yeah.
Yeah, in 2 years, you guys are also going to be talking about old James Clavell book from the 70s for an hour and a half every week.
And just like the particular strain of Arizona dirtbag culture that you've observed through your life. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
They're important ethnographies to interrogate.
Yes. Has this been a particularly dumb year, or is this on par with the years that we've done this in the past? This is now our third year of doing this.
I feel less dumb. I always feel very dumb. I feel the season was less dumb a little bit. I was going through the stories and like maybe it was just me. Maybe I was just really enthusiastic about how dumb last year was. Mm-hmm. But we didn't have anything that I found. Maybe this will probably jog my memory and more stuff will come up. Going into this, the research I did feels less dumb than previous years because there were fewer like slide-related injury incidents, and that's like a high bar to clear for me.
I feel like it was still pretty dumb, maybe on the aggregate less dumb, but the stuff that was dumb within this season was less funny in a lot of cases. Yeah. And more extremely sad, extremely huge bummer. As Philadelphia fan, Alex Paisley here can attest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. The dumbest thing I think I did was believing that I could get away from the misery that follows the A's around. I think that one is maybe on me, for being honest.
I'm gonna just go ahead and say that was karma. Like that's just karmic justice for what you did to me.
Right. I had it coming.
Still not over it. Just working through it on different pods, various pods. Worked through it on Batting Around a couple months ago. We were working through it on this pod. Maybe we'll work through it in Dumbest Things. I'm excited to do this. If for people who are listening to this for the first time, this is now the third time we've done this. Basically, how it works is we go around and we each select an incredibly dumb, kind of like in the online baseball world is the genre of these things, but it could be just something that dumb that happened in the baseball world. But really, things that inspired hilarious moments, discourse on the internet was the original idea for this, and it's grown into its own little beast here. But Steven's going to pick, Lauren's going to pick, Jane's going to pick, and then Alex and I will pick together. So I think without further ado, we should just get started because the look of terror on Steven's face as he finds out that he has to pick first overall. You can forego your pick if you want.
I will forego my pick. I will forego my pick.
I'll take first. Yeah, I've got one
give
lined up.
Lauren first.
I feel like this is also like the most fitting for my brand. I have to do this one. Dollar Dog Night. Not just to the Phillies, not just to the, for people who don't know, it was April 12, I believe. Phillies had their first Dollar Dog Night since the pandemic. They were not the only team to do this, but they were the one to take it to the most extreme. Great little viral clip. I think it was maybe my favorite single visual of the year, defining an iconic moment of Phillies fans just throwing hot dogs to each other through the course of the game. A game that they lost. It's always worth remembering.
Love that they're not throwing it on the field; they're throwing them at each other.
Yeah. That's an
fine.
incredible detail to that
That's
whole
a great
story.
twist. It's a great twist because you would think like, oh, they're throwing it on the field. They're being typical Phillies fans, all that old stupid narrative. But like, no, they're just throwing them at each other, which is just a perfect inversion of it. I think I love it.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think it's worth contextualizing how the Phillies handled it versus how a similar incident had happened for the Blue Jays in August, where they have Looney Dog Night because they have to be different and special as Canadians. One Jays fan in particular, this was August 2nd. I don't think anybody outside of like Blue Jays Twitter heard about this one, but it's great. A fan brought back like 24 hot dogs to a seat in the outfield and just started throwing them at other fans who wanted a hot dog. And just giving them out, including to people on the second level. Yeah,
that's nice. I like that. 24 hot dogs on Dollar Dog Night. That's like the price of one beer.
Yeah. No, that's the funny thing about the Canadian hot dog night. It's actually like a 75-cent night for us. It's cheaper to run the border than it is to get a regular hot dog in the U.S.
Just do an exchange rate chat. 5 minutes into the pod. I love it. I love it. Have you ever just wanted to just chuck an encased piece of meat and preservatives at your friend
every day of my life?
Every day
at Citizens Bank Park. Who doesn't want to do that?
The dumb part, though, I'm not going to say everything else about the hot dog. No, that was dumb. I think it's actually brilliant. The dumb thing is that the security at the Rogers Center ejected the guy.
Oh,
boo!
Yeah.
Come on,
for doing what amounts to mutual aid? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Well, mutual aid is terrorism now, Alex. You know this.
Okay.
Okay, great selection, Lauren. Jane, you're up.
Okay, I'm just going to get it out of the way here. We're going to have to talk about it eventually. This goes back to what I was saying, where it was more just like sad than dumb. I'm not going to take Alex's, though. I'm going to do the Dodgers versus the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence.
Yeah.
And all of the fallout surrounding it. Like, we got so many amazing, dumb things happening because of that. My personal favorite of them was when just, some idiot, a blue check on Twitter with, a couple 100,000 followers was like the top Catholic MLB player broke his silence. They're talking about Nationals pitcher Trevor Williams. Like, I don't think that is the top Catholic in Major League Baseball, in a sport where there are tons of players from Latin America.
Yeah. He's maybe the top Catholic most likely to like leave the church in an excommunication to follow that guy in Texas who just got kicked out.
Yeah, he's bankrolling the what was it, like the coalition of canceled priests.
Yeah.
I love the phrase "breaks his silence," as if like the whole baseball world was on pins and needles waiting to see what Trevor Williams thought about the Dodgers. Like, he doesn't play for that team. Why did he feel the need to release a 7-page notes app discursive take on what happened in LA?
The Dodgers were oppressing him for his religion. You can't speak out. Yeah, you have to speak out. You can't stay silent when.
Well, the whole panic started because of a group in Florida.
Fucking Marco
making a big
Rubio.
deal out of it. Yeah, and Marco Rubio making a huge deal out of it. So like, it was just stupid, like stuff from across the country anyway.
So Marco Rubio reignited one of my favorite dumbest things from the past years, which was senators trying to capitalize for political clout by repealing the antitrust exemption because of the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence thing.
Yeah.
He was like, let's run that back. Fuck it. We'll just get some more mileage out of that one. We'll repeal the antitrust exemption because they don't believe in religion anymore.
Oh, no, I'd be so owned if you did that, Marco.
Clayton Kershaw's response by saying, if you're going to have this night, then we get to have Christian faith and family night, next month or whatever. I was like, Clayton, buddy. Like you don't have to do anything. You can keep your mouth shut. It's okay, right? Because Christians are folks who historically have been rejected from the ballpark, made to feel unsafe, uninvited, unincluded.
I do my
standing
best.
up to the little guy.
Yeah, I'm trying. Trust me. Every time I go there, I'm trying. But, yeah, there was so much that was so stupid around it. Like, yeah, it really made you lose a lot of respect for Clayton Kershaw. I know it's a funny phrase to say, but like,
and for the Dodgers. Yeah,
and for the Dodgers, really, and like the way that they flip-flopped back and forth on it so many times was just like, this is a spineless organization. And then they typically don't let anybody organize or set things up in their parking lots, but they let all these like far right protesters and like Proud Boys set up in their parking lot during their Pride Night. It was so awful.
My favorite detail of all that was it was like the ancillary parking lot. It was like the smallest one they have. Because Dodger Stadium, they have like various sizes of parking lot. And they were like, oh, we're filling this thing up. There's so many of us. And it's like, dude, you're literally on like the lot reserved for
overflow.
For the buses they bring in. Yeah.
If you've ever been put in that parking lot, you realize that you are basically in Angel Stadium's parking lot. Like it is way
I think technically
you're
in a different zip code.
Yeah, it might be. I think like the Anthony Bass stuff gets wrapped into there too, because that's what he was making his big fuss over. And then there's the whole dumb stuff about how like he was actually a good relief pitcher. But it's like, no, he got DFA'd because he was the worst guy and a good guy was coming up. Like it was just awful.
The Dodgers are kind of a perfect vessel for like California politics, an empty, open, blank slate for businesses to paste their needs onto. It's like Bank of America, you do own Dodger Stadium. Just put as many ads up as you want. And we'll just like kind of ambiently support progressive causes because we're in California, but not really care about any of them. And this was like the kind of perfect sliver that just exposed all of that, just all of it so nakedly. And then the fallout from it, of course, led to a lot of dumb moments that you delineated, Jane. But it was like a defining story for multiple months in the middle of the season.
We had to just keep talking about it like every week. We wanted to get away from it, but stuff just kept happening that we couldn't not talk about.
Well, especially because the Dodgers were so spineless in it, right? They were like, we're sitting here turning a big dial that says homophobia and just reacting to the crowd, week after week.
It is remarkable how their North Star reaction, like the guiding principle of all of their actions with the story, is fold like a long lawn chair.
It was, don't yell at me.
People who are not from your state, who are acting in clear bad faith about this. And then we're glad that they re-invited them and reacted to the fans, but like that was clearly just kind of like, oh yeah, oops. Here we go.
It was like Oprah. You get an apology. You get an apology. You get an apology. We don't even care. Everybody gets an apology. Everybody's right.
And it just sucks because it was right. It's right during the middle of this larger moral panic about queer and trans people, and we saw it like with the Bud Light stuff and with Target, and it just really, really conditioned all of these fucking awful moral crusaders to just go, okay, we can we can shut them down if we want, or we can like make them look bad. We can affect them. And like, they just buckled. And if they had just said, no, fuck you, we're not listening to you from the start, it wouldn't have been nearly as big of a deal. And they could have weathered it. What are they not? They think that like the Dodgers aren't going to weather this? That they're going to all of a sudden lose all of their money because like of one Pride Night. Yeah, because of a bunch of people in Florida who say that they'll never go to another Dodgers game. It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Yeah. It definitely fits the definition of dumbest things of 2023 in a lot of ways.
Yeah. But hey, at least we're not hockey.
That's true. At least as a league, we haven't actively decided to ban all expressions of politics, whatever the fuck that means. Okay, Alex, do you want to do the honors of making our first selection for the?
Do I go before you or after you?
I think Steven still should pop in.
Okay, Steven, go for it.
Okay. Well, I have to pick this one since it's still on the board. Do you guys want to talk about the Atlanta Braves in the National League Division Series?
Yeah, I had this on my long list, but I figured it would get brought up by somebody. So
there's a lot of stuff to mine there.
This is a few dumb things folded into one. My favorite and the most fun, of course, is Blooper deciding to pick a fight with the city of Philadelphia, which when you
ill-advised,
yes, ill-advised in general, but specifically when you are a 4-year-old boring shitty mascot that people don't really like, and you're throwing hands at literally the Philly fanatic. That whole thing was so fun for me as a Phillies fan who hates the Braves, because the Braves are a really good baseball team with a lot of really fun players, and it was really nice to let out all that evil and hatred and malice and violence in my heart on an inanimate object that fucked up an intern that tweeted something that they shouldn't have.
It's the flesh-toned hate golem or whatever that was described as. Yeah.
It's just like the amount of people who are just tweeting like, Blooper, I will rip you limb from limb in front of all of your loved ones. Like, it truly just, it was so great. I
just like
it.
Posting a picture of a can of gasoline and a picture of like the door of the closet where they keep the Blooper costume. Like,
it was, there was an effigy of it at some point that made an appearance at an Eagles tailgate. Because everybody kept threatening to eat it. I don't know that I would eat Blooper personally.
No.
Kind of looks like a big chicken finger. I don't know.
Lauren's considering it.
It's like if you ate the Philly fanatic, you'd gain its power. But if you ate Blooper, like horrible things would happen to you, I think.
It'd be like Jason Voorhees' heart from Friday 9. You know what?
Just you're the only one that knows what you're talking about at all. Let's move on.
Yep.
Deep slasher cuts.
So I think actually, you know what? I'm going to leave it at that. I'm just going to do the Blooper thing for my first pick. There are other things to talk about, but we can get to them later.
Great. Great selection. Alex, I know you've just been itching to choose this, to bring this one back up. So please do the honors.
I have. We've this is the one that we've kicked around for months, saying
it came up on our live stream.
We know it's on the list. And it continues a long-standing tradition here on this annual episode of the dumbest baseball things of teams invoking 9/11.
Oh yeah, let's go.
DraftKings on September 11th of this year said, you know what we should do to really get people engaged in sports betting? Why don't we put together a nice little parlay? You know, Mets win, Yankees win, Jets win, and we call it the Never Forget parlay. You know,
look, I got a 9/11 parlay. Look, we need a plane to crash in a field in Pennsylvania. We need second tower to crash exactly 1 hour and 14 minutes after the first.
Can I read you guys the apology that DraftKings sent out?
Please.
Like 2 hours after they sent out the original tweet. We sincerely apologize for the featured parlay that was shared briefly in commemoration of 9/11. We respect the significance of this day for our country, and especially for the families of those who were directly affected. And then it was just a bunch of people replying with the screenshot of the bet. 367 people placed this bet, plus 651. It was up for like less than an hour. So
did they win?
I assume that
how did they do?
I assume that it had to push. I assume they had to take it down.
Well, so what happened was the Jets won. The Yankees game got rained out, and the Mets lost. So if the Mets had won, it would have been a push. Unfortunately, there are people who lost money on the 9/11 parlay.
Wasn't that the Jets game where Aaron Rodgers destroyed his Achilles?
I think so.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
So that was just an awesome day. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Sports betting. continues to be
God, I hate
a
it
well
so
that we
much.
come back to.
You really
these
can't make it up.
episodes.
One of the worst blights on this sport for sure. Yeah.
Maybe the actual overall stupidest thing to happen to baseball, like for multiple years running now.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
It's going to be hard to dethrone that.
The A's are trying. I believe that kicks it back to you, Lauren.
Okay, I've got a good one here. It's technically preseason. I think that we should let it slide and do it because it's such a rich and juicy one.
I think that counts. Anything in
We take the
2023
calendar year.
Yeah, because we did this last year
sure.
in November. So
exactly, we're covered. Yeah, it was January 31st. I know we talked about this when it happened. I think you guys might have also. I vaguely recall this. Reddit did the only thing Reddit is really good for, and did a deep dive to prove that Joe West was editing his own Wikipedia page.
yeah, good one. Really good one.
So
you guys
good.
remember this? This was so good.
Yep.
It was like that. You can still find the old thread of it where they go down. It's like multiple changes, multiple edits. They eventually was the Fangraphs podcast, I think, or Effectively Wild, where they got him on the air to admit to it. And basically, he was just so pissed that people were saying mean things about them that he figured out how to edit Wikipedia. He's like a 70-year-old man. That's hard to do. And just wanted to correct the record, he said. He wanted to correct the lies. And signed everything off.
Free Chief 22, whoever he is.
22. I like to think that he actually really ardently believes in the cause of the Wikimedia Foundation, right? But is maybe a little
Donates every month,
insecure.
yeah.
And so he's like, I'm just going to write what I know,
Yeah.
And that's my own personal history.
Absolutely, yeah. This is why I was getting afraid when Elon Musk was talking about buying Wikipedia a couple months back. You need Wikipedia precisely for this kind of thing.
Yeah. What else is Joe West going to do in his retirement?
Yeah, what's
He's
going on with
busy.
his pod, bro?
I know he hasn't
been listening?
podcasted in like a year.
Ugh.
A dereliction of his
He
duties.
couldn't take the heat.
So yeah, just another example of someone who wasn't ready for the fucking content game.
He doesn't have a
Not ready
poster's
for
heart.
the fucking
Absolutely
heat.
not.
Get out of the kitchen, Joe West.
People think they can just jump into the podcast game and take off just because they worked in the field that they're talking about for so long.
Yeah, no, you
Joe
got
West,
heavy hitters
Sean
in this
Doolittle.
industry. Don't come around here,
They're
Sean
not gonna
Doolittle.
make it.
You're not invited anymore.
I told him not to do that, and he did it.
Dumbest things of 2023. Calling that pod
Staffcast.
Staffcast. Calling it Staffcast. How does Richard get the fucking title? Nobody even knows what he looks like. He's like 21 years old. What's going on with that?
Yeah.
Crew Chief 22. I love that. It's almost better than if he had just put it like I am Joe West 22. Like that. It's so good. It's so good.
He should have been like Blue Cowboy 22.
Yeah.
I think that would have been so much better.
I do think if you were like identity thief or identity scammer, it would be really interesting to see what are the sites he's registered with that username on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's a shared password guy. He's not generating a new password for every website he visits.
No way.
Can you imagine if he had like OnePass or like one of those other services that just like deep security for he's actually sneaky with it in the tech world.
Big OPSEC
No,
guy.
every single website, the password is just ball4. Every single one.
Joe West is one of those guys who insists that you message him on Signal, even if you're just like, hey, want to go get coffee? Like, my friend that cuts my hair makes me do that. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'm just being like, hey, can we cut my hair?
Yeah, well, Joe West he's been burned by Alex stealing his music and putting it online for us to do a podcast about it.
That is
So
true.
he's trying
He's
to
like,
keep
I've
everything
seen what the
tight.
dark web can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Jane, you're up.
Okay. Like, all right, I'll admit that sometimes I can be a bit of a hater. That may be a shock to some of you, but
Not at all.
this season, I was bugged real early on by this. Every fucking team having their own bespoke celebrations for home runs, for whatever.
Oh, I love this.
It got stupid so fast and like really undeserved in a lot of cases, I think. Like, do the Pirates really deserve to have a home run celebration? Now, okay, like they were in like first place in like May, which is in itself a extremely stupid thing that happened this season. But like all these teams just started stretching more and more and more for their home run celebrations, and it got just stupid. Stupid.
There were only like 4 that were any good.
Yeah. Like the Orioles one, fine, great. Like it was organic, it was weird, it was funny, but like even the Angels samurai helmet, I thought was trying a little too hard. Like you went out and bought this
too hard.
extremely expensive helmet. And it's like, yeah, that's a cool ass helmet. Like that does rule. But like the fucking Kansas City Chiefs had the helmet from Gladiator. That's just dumb.
Yeah, you're kind of pushing it.
Yeah, and it wasn't
or
a
the
home
inflatable
run.
Dumbbells that the Red Sox had. Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't a home run celebration, but like a weird little, bullpen ritual or dugout ritual that the Cardinals had, where if you wanted to predict the Cardinals hitter was going to hit a home run, you picked up a burger phone and dialed in like what inning it was and the player's number.
That's so complicated.
It was way too complicated. It was so stupid. It was incredibly stupid. I hated these celebrations and stuff the entire season. Like they just went way too overboard, way too fast. Even like the Twins one, I didn't like because they literally had a committee like of players and other people around the team come up with their thing. Like Pablo Lopez like came up with it.
Celebration.
Yeah, they were focus grouping it, and they came up with Land of 10,000 Rakes, and it was a fishing vest.
Oh, ugh.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good. Sorry, Twins, but it wasn't good.
We need to raise the bar. Like you have to be 10 games over 500 to do one of those. I think that we need to introduce more stipulations. Like
have something to celebrate. Like, oh, we're on like a huge heater and we're turning it around. We might be contending for a wild card spot. Like, yeah, okay, cool. Something naturally comes up.
We as the baseball podcasters of the world need to be more like the Democrats. And we're like, if you want food stamps, you have to prove you're looking for a job. If you want to do your little home run celebrations, please prove to me that you're a good baseball team.
Yeah, the fucking Brewers were putting on like the Green Bay Packers cheese hats. It just sucked. Everything just sucked.
How long before a company is sponsoring one of these? Like, do you think next year?
Don't.
That's some amazing evil you're bringing into the world. I love that.
Speak that evil.
I want it to just all of it to be laid bare as so stupid if it's going to happen. So
if it does happen, I want it to be like the Nationals in Raytheon. I want it to be like a little rocket they like pull around the dugout or something. I want it as evil and banal as possible, as fast as possible.
The Braves have a pool of Quikrete you can jump into. It's still wet. Yeah.
The Astros do a quick draw motion sponsored by Halliburton.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There we go.
See, this little hand motion at second base brought to you by Smith & Wesson. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay. All right, Steven, you're up.
All right. Let's see. There are a few good options here, but I am going to go with Orioles owners removing announcer Kevin Brown from the booth because of comments he made about the Orioles record in the past against the Rays.
Yeah.
It's so fucking dumb. Why?
It's institutionally dumb.
It's like, first of all, he wasn't saying anything bad about the team. He was in fact saying good things because you want to show the progress, right? They were bad and now they're good. That's not talking shit on the team.
Yeah.
Second of all, there was a graphic for it, which meant that this was not just like some guy going off. Like the fucking network had this bit prepared.
He didn't just decide to say, by the way, we've sucked really bad against this team in the past. Like it was a talking point. It was a thing to talk about.
No, the fucking shitty ownership group was just like, oh, this makes us look cheap. We don't like this. Put this man on probation. And you know what that did? That Streisand affected. That just made you look more like an asshole. And it made like the entire like broadcaster community of baseball to
the first time they've ever shown solidarity with each other.
The fraternal order of baseball broadcasters.
Just absolutely coming out, just ethering the Orioles ownership at every opportunity. Just Gary Cohen being like, "Don't ever let me see you in the fucking street, John Angelos. I'll fuck your shit up."
That was what was great about it. They were very specific about their demands.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so an offshoot of this was that Kevin Brown then also came out and like tried to pour cold water on the whole situation and being like, "No, I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm good with this. I'm happy here. I like it here." And so then that led other people to be like, "How are we supposed to feel about this after all of this?" When he went back into the booth, it was really dumb, really exceptionally dumb. We have more Orioles stuff coming up later. I'm going to actually just say right now that we're going to save that for the bonus part of this episode, which will be featured on our Patreon. There's really just a lot of Orioles stuff that I would love to delve further into, but it will take us down a rabbit hole that will make this a 3-hour podcast. And I don't think that any of us want to do that.
I think Bobby and I each came to the table with 2 or 3 distinct John Angelos storylines.
Maybe like the dumbest 100-win team of all season of all time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. We're up next. I'm going to go all the way back to opening day, April 3rd. This tweet from Tim Britton of The Athletic. The Brewers' home opener included a flyover of the stadium. The roof was closed.
Yeah, hell yeah.
This is a personal favorite of mine because like flyovers are dumb as they are, but to do a flyover of the stadium with the roof closed where nobody can actually see it and you can only kind of hear the planes flying over it is just, to me, fits the definition of this exercise so perfectly that a team would pay millions of dollars to the Department of Defense to have planes fly over their stadium for opening day, but then have the roof closed still. What is it for?
It's pure
then?
love of the game. It's pure love of the game.
Is it for tax write-off purposes? Is it just to satisfy the lobbyists? Like, what is happening?
It's probably
why did
for
they
a
do
tax
this?
write-off.
It's amazing.
It's just for the noise complaint. Yeah. You just really love pissing off like all the people who live in the city.
And I like, it's just for the climate change. Like, I really don't understand it. I don't get it. It's
they were like, "There's fuel we gotta burn. Like, it's not gonna burn itself."
Keep the stock price of the oil barrels like right in line. I love this so much. It's such baseball ownership brain. Well, we scheduled a flyover and we have to do it, even though no one in the stadium is going to be able to see it. Tremendous stuff. Great work, Mark Attanasio. You really have acquitted yourself well this year. Everybody's really happy with how you've behaved. Definitely not mad you lost Craig Counsell. Definitely not mad you're going to trade all your best players. Definitely not mad you got bounced in the first round again. Yeah, it's just really good vibes over there. They just love it in Milwaukee. And they want a new stadium too. So maybe the next stadium won't have a roof so that they can see all the flyovers.
Well said.
Okay, Lauren, you're up again.
Okay, I'm going to take an easy one. This one I think was probably going to come up. If it wasn't coming up, it was such a defining moment of the Angels for me of their season. Anthony Rendon getting called a bitch and trying to slap a fan. Great day, great day.
That was an early one.
Yeah,
that was early in the season. Yeah, and they were already looking rough. They were all season long, but just from every angle, a stupid thing for the fan to do. I think I did come down on this one as you should be allowed to be rude to fans sometimes. You probably shouldn't threaten to physically hurt them, but I am not particularly on the side of the fan in this case. Nonetheless, not a good look for Anthony Rendon or whatever, but all around very stupid.
Yeah, I found this the other day again doing the research and had to watch it like a dozen times because it's there's so many different characters in that video. There's like the man who's pushing the fan in question like towards Anthony, almost doing like a citizen's arrest sort of thing. Like you have to answer for your crimes to Anthony Rendon's face. Hunter Renfroe is just standing there like mouth agape at everything that's going on, unsure how to intervene. It's too good.
Awesome.
Rendon has the guy's shirt just like gripped in his fist.
Oh,
I'm like trying to see what the guy's shirt says. It low-key looks like one of our shirts, Alex, but it was at the Coliseum.
Oh God,
that'd be some of the best marketing ever. If it's just like, yeah, he was wearing a tipping pitches shirt. Well, he's assaulted by a guy with a $300 million contract.
If we ever get around to making merch, I want every Batting Around fan to go to the stadium and try to pick a fight with the biggest, burliest guy on the team so that we can get clout.
Yeah.
Great free advertising. Tremendous free advertising. Interesting that we went here for the Angels first. There's quite a bit of Angels content to mine. Quite a bit, but great choice. Okay, Jane, what's next?
Okay, I'm going to go with the shooting at guaranteed rate.
Oh, jeez.
But specifically, the White Sox putting out a thing trying to explain how, like, we think it might have happened outside the stadium. And like the bullet went into the park, and they
the magic bullet, the White Sox magic bullet.
They had a magic bullet where it went like 5 city blocks and fell into the park, and that's where it actually came from. Because like Chicago is so crime ridden and scary. It's like that's a smart thing to be saying about your own park. That like there are just shootings outside of it all the time. Like really, really great. But just trying to say that. Like it came from outside when I don't know. Like it was nobody knew what happened initially, but that clearly was not what happened. Yeah, and turned out it was just someone snuck a gun in and it went off. Like
that's the page out of the IDF playbook.
Someone snuck a gun in the folds of their body fat.
Yeah.
Yes, the most American way to do a shooting. I do respect that.
At the ballpark, like.
I mean, you don't want to leave your gun in the like under a trash can outside. You didn't remember you had it on you. You got to,
you got to carry that all the time.
And then they didn't stop the game.
Yeah, that was
just kept playing.
Crazy. Like at first they weren't sure what happened, but like there was still like a couple innings left in that game. It's like, excuse me, there's been a shooting.
Yeah, we gotta get this one in, guys. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, we want to interrupt the sanctity of the season the White Sox are having.
Yeah, look, you went over the minimum innings for a game to be. It's like getting rained out. Like there's a shooting, game's over. Okay, who's up right now? That's it.
Just out of curiosity, I'm trying to find the record here. They were, I believe if this is accurate, 20 games below 500 on August 29th when this happened.
Brutal.
Awesome. Incredible.
God, they were so bad this year.
Yep.
Just like could not have gone worse.
And it's looking extremely bad in the future, too.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost their best broadcaster to the Tigers now, too.
Yeah. We had that on the long list. I also, because I don't think this one's going to get brought up because so much has been discussed about this man in the past on these episodes and just in on our podcast in general. I also wrote down the fact that the White Sox quietly brought back Tony La Russa as a consultant after firing their GM. So he's an advisor to the front office now.
That's so awesome. That's
unbeatable.
So awesome.
Yeah. Just nobody is doing it like Reinsdorf. He's just in his own fucking league. Love that.
A while
guy.
back on the show, on our show, we were talking about like realignment or if there's more expansion teams or whatever, or like if they ever got flipped up. And I was like, yeah, put the Twins into the NL Central. And Steven was like, well, you want to play in one with the Cubs and the Cardinals? I was like, I want out of this one with this just joke division with like the White Sox and all the shit they're doing, like all of these other just failures of organizations. Like, no, I just want to play in a more legitimate division.
I know. What does it say about the state of that division that over the last couple of weeks I've been like, Tigers going to be sneaky good this year? Going to be sneaky watchable?
That's the second place Detroit Tiger. Yeah. Incredible.
Tigers tried, they were like, fuck it, we'll give Javi Baez $150 million.
They did.
Let it rip.
Right.
Okay, Steven, you are up.
I've got there's still so many that I really, really want to feature in this main portion, but there's just two picks left. I will leave the one that I'm looking at for the two of you because I assume you can't let this go without being mentioned upon. So I think I'm going to loop back around to the ethics in sports journalism discourse that broke out. Just because I want to talk about The Braves.
You want to shit on Braves?
I just want to shit on the Braves.
It's a good instinct. You should lean into that. Yeah. Okay. It won't serve you wrong.
It feels a little cheap to use 2 of my 3 picks to shit on the Braves, specifically for things that happened during the NLDS, but I'm going to do it because it's a lot of fun. Yeah. So Orlando Arcia said a thing he shouldn't have in front of a reporter, and a reporter did his job. Jake Mintz, friend of ours. And Bryce Harper happens.
Yeah.
So I think overall, the way that Braves fans conducted themselves.
Yeah.
Not covering themselves in glory.
Yeah. It was really remarkable in a way that I have a low opinion of the Braves collective fan base. Obviously, there are a few that are really cool and that are my friends and I like and are smart and good. But as a collective, I have a low opinion of them. And they astounded me with how poorly they conducted themselves throughout the playoffs, bitching about the playoff format, bitching about days off, bitching about, this, that, and the other, like looking for excuses as to why their team was underperforming. And they arrived at Jake Mintz doing his job, reporting on Orlando Arcia, talking shit in the clubhouse, and Bryce Harper proceeding to own his ass on the field of play in a way that is like completely incredible. We got an amazing photo out of it. It was just, it was unreal, the level that he just went Super Saiyan on them. And for some reason, that was Jake Mintz's fault.
Yeah.
And I think this is a fun thing. This is a fun, dumb thing. It's also not a fun, dumb thing, because then you had Atlanta Beats playing into this attack on Jake's character,
right?
Which was really disgusting.
On my long list, I wrote down Braves media whining and crying and being tiny little babies because of the team having to rest for 5 days, which is kind of like an offshoot of basically what you just talked about. Mm-hmm. Truly one of the dumbest collective actions by a group of people who otherwise seem like they need to have like functional intelligence to be able to do the job that they say that they do. Like, it blows my fucking mind that many people could be like, well, yeah, obviously the playoff format is broken because they had to rest for 5 days.
Happened with the Dodgers too.
It's like, well then, why didn't they play worse and not get the bye? Why would every team choose to have it this way? Like, if you ask any of these teams, would they rather have this or would they rather have the chance of being eliminated by the fucking Marlins because they lost 2 games?
No, all the hand-wringing about the playoff format was one of mine for sure.
It's just so dumb, and the collective psychosis that is Braves fandom or being around the Braves organization is mind-blowing to me. I don't understand what's going on down there. The whole organization. There's going to be I'm going to go on some rant at some point in the future that's going to get me sued because I'm going to accuse the Braves Foundation of like doing illegal shit. But this version of this, I agree with you, Steven. It was so unbelievably dumb and inexplicable.
Inexplicable, I think, is a great word for it.
Before we move on totally from the story, can I just do a quick little quickies I've noticed this season? Because I did in my research, I found Bryce Harper was just kind of stunning on people all season long.
Yeah.
In a way that's like kind of a himbo, fun, dumb guy thing. There was like teeing off on the Braves in the postseason, fantastic. There's also throwing the helmet at a Pirates game, which is a great moment.
I was at that game. Great moment.
Yeah. I was at that game.
That was so tight.
Way early in the season, I don't think a lot of people remember this one as well. In a game against the Rockies, he got caught lip reading, "You're a loser fucking organization, every single one of you." Which is God tier.
Where's the lie?
Awesome.
He's great. He's
great.
He's
really styling
legendary.
on people. Yeah.
He's really good for the baseball world. Honestly.
I've got a Harper thing or two for the long list.
The whole thing with the Braves was like, why are you setting yourself up to be owned like this? Like, they backed themselves into these corners where obviously there's going to be karmic justice on the field. Like, no shit, it's Harper and the Phillies. What do you realize you're asking for?
They had nothing to gain.
No.
Oh boy, I'm so glad that they got what was coming to them. Honestly, really great developing storyline from this year. Okay, I believe that makes it our turn. And Alex, speaking of the Braves,
I know that like a quarter of our picks at this point are going to be on the Braves, but that one's kind of on them. There was a lot of dumb stuff that happened on Twitter this baseball season. Steven, you already mentioned just Blooper and that entity as a presence. But I want to take you guys back to July 4th, 2023, which procured, I think, my favorite piece of literature from this baseball season. And there was a tweet from Blooper's official Twitter account. And I'll just read the tweet in full to you all, okay?
Everybody strap in. It's a long one.
Right.
It does have Twitter blue, so it is a lot more than 280 characters.
I forget what this is, so I'm really excited.
Own a t-shirt gun for home defense, since that's what the founding fathers intended. 4 ruffians break into my house. What's the billy? As I grab my powdered wig and Bleacher Reacher Pro, blow a golf ball-sized hole through the first man. He's blooped on the spot. Draw my micro mini on the second man. Miss him entirely because it's smooth bore and hits my neighbor, Freddie Falcon. I have to resort to the t-shirt cannon, mounted at the top of the stairs, loaded with shirts and bobbleheads. Tally ho, lads. The t-shirts bloop 2 men in the blast. The sound and extra shirts set off the car alarms. Fixed bayonet and charge the last terrified rapscallion, just as the founding fathers intended.
What?
Someone was employed to write that?
I missed this.
This tweet's still up. I just want to say, it
is.
At one point in the season, I believe it was pinned to the top of the profile. Like I think there was almost a feeling of pride behind this. Look at how we've married our game and our strong national history.
This tweet was sent at 8:02 a.m. Eastern time, July 4th. That's 5 a.m. Pacific. That's way too early to be using the word rapscallion as a fucking baseball mascot.
That's what I got off all my bangers on Twitter, so I can't fully judge. That 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. is where all the real creative juices are flowing. So
I have long discussed that this Blooper Twitter account is the worst team-sanctioned social media entity since the first couple seasons of the Vegas Golden Knights Twitter account. But I think even that comparison does a disservice. That is
insane.
That is insane.
It's a home invasion murder fantasy.
Yes, that is exactly what it is.
Like, even though
Below
he's like,
a golf ball-sized hole through the first man. It's so fucking crazy.
He's still talking. He's like, oh no, it's funny. I'm like talking about a t-shirt cannon. It's like, yeah, but you're still like blowing holes through guys. Yeah, you're like
Blooper said, stand your ground.
Yeah, you're like. Oh, but one of them nicked his carotid arteries. Like I shot a hot dog in the foil wrapper. Like still nicked his femoral. He'll be dead in 2 minutes. Like it's crazy. And who are the people that he's using him against? Did he see like we know who he's talking about. But like
Jesus Christ.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, you don't want your mascot to have the same like posting persona as like Travis Bickle. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Charles
I said this,
Bronson character for a mascot.
I said this around the time that Blooper was needling Philadelphia fans, but I don't necessarily get the added value of having a team like mascot account, like giving them a personality, giving them
Absolutely
lore.
Not.
Like there's no way any of that ends well, because the logical conclusion is cosplaying as a fucking Second Amendment advocate on your Twitter account. Like I don't get it. I don't get it.
I regret to inform you guys that every single quote tweet for this is like, this is epic. This is so based. Blooper is the best. This is cinema. A lot of Martin Scorsese screenshots in the quote tweets. I'm like, what is happening? This is what I'm talking about. Collective psychosis. Anyone who has touched the Atlanta Braves organization in any way, you are entitled to compensation for what it has done to your brain.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, were you stationed at Camp Jejune? Like, have you ever been to Truist Park? You probably have brain cancer right now. Like, it's crazy.
I'm calling on the complete and total shutdown on the battery until we can figure out what the hell is going on here.
And we got to just sanction it off like Chernobyl. Like,
Right.
No, 10,000. All the sand in Russia, just dump it right on top.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Just unbelievable shit. Unbelievable shit. Just done. Okay. Let's do one more round. And then we'll save the rest for the bonus and the Patreon. So Lauren, you're up again.
Perfect. Okay. I think you can't really look at 2023 as a whole year of baseball and not mention how great the World Baseball Classic was. It was a core part of the season for me, a core part of like the baseball experience as a fan. Just an incredible month of playoff worthy baseball in February. It was fantastic. I do want to commemorate that in the dumb moments just a little bit, because one of the dumbest things happened. It was not necessarily the thing on the field that was dumb, but like the media reaction, everything around it, was Edwin Diaz tearing his patellar tendon on a mound celebration in the game, after the game.
Yeah.
Just, it was dumb that it happened. It was very unfortunate. It was very, bad luck. But the media reaction of being like, well, this is why we shouldn't be doing this, is we risk all of these teams, sending their best guys and getting hurt. That is like so not the point of the world of the experience. And like, no one can really look at the season the Mets ended up having and being like, well, if they had, one reliever, everything turns the other way.
No one can do that in good faith, but plenty of people did do that.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the dumb part. Was everyone freaking out like it was like single-handedly going to tank the season to lose a reliever? There were other injuries in the World Baseball Classic. There were other like unfortunate things that happened, but that didn't take anything away from like the joy of the experience. And it shouldn't have. It shouldn't really matter if like someone gets banged up, because they got to get banged up in the offseason in some other dumb way too, like a certain biking incident some of us may recall from a few years ago. There's plenty of like ways for guys to fuck themselves up that aren't as cool as the World Baseball Classic.
Mm-hmm. Well, and plenty of them are going to do it during the regular season too, during meaningless game. Like, all right, maybe we shouldn't have any Angels games either, because I don't know.
Lots of Angels fans would agree with that, I think. Yeah,
probably.
I think you could try that successfully, and like nobody'd really notice. We wouldn't notice if there was like if there just weren't any Angels games for a while. Like they're just still like posting the box scores in the newspaper. Yeah, they're just making them up.
Yeah.
They're just simulating them like on MLB The Show.
Like, you plug Mike Trout in for like 40 of them, and move on.
Ooh. Damn.
It's sad.
Yeah.
I love him. I wish he was healthy all the time.
Yeah, you don't even my relationship to the Angels has nothing to do with the games, nothing to do with the results, the box scores, nothing. No. It all has to do with Artie Moreno, bribery, parking lots.
Mm-hmm.
Getting under the luxury tax, which I can't wait to talk about. Yeah, I mean, the Edwin Diaz thing, like, it could have happened when he was, walking down the stairs based on how it actually happened in the game. Like, if he just stepped on a crack or something and twisted his ankle, like, the same exact thing could have happened. It was a freak accident, had nothing to do with the actual World Baseball Classic.
Hey, if he hadn't hurt himself, the Mets might have traded him away at the deadline. So whoa. So maybe it's a good thing.
No, Epdog would never do that to me, bro. He was too busy violating the league rules and getting investigated.
Too busy covering up drunk driving accidents and stuff. Yeah.
Maybe the only famous that should be met is the Diamondbacks, because then maybe they get Edwin Diaz instead of Paul Sewald. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Man.
Damn. The Diamondbacks, by the way, are one of the dumbest things of the 2023 baseball season. Just the whole organization. Them going to the World Series, like them having a negative run differential. That was on the long list too.
That was on the long list. That's like dumb fun, though.
Exactly.
Subcategory fun, dumb fun.
I have a question once we're through these for the group. On that note,
maybe next year we should plot this on like one of the like political orientation charts, like dumb fun, dumb sad.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jane, you're up.
Let's see. Steven, can I steal one of yours?
Go for it.
Okay.
Steven's got like 5 more Braves things that he wants to get off his chest, so he's good.
I'm glad we're doing another one so that I can diversify a little bit.
I don't want to end on a sad one, so I want to add my last one to be a silly one. Mrs. Met, getting a BBL was fucking out of this world. And everyone just suddenly being like, holy shit, I am like horny as fuck for Mrs. Met was, I mean, it's a beat that we've been on for a while. Like both of our shows have been talking about this for a while, but I feel like it broke containment and got into like normie Twitter and stuff too.
Yeah.
Like people are just being like, I'm about to act up over this Instagram post of Mrs. Met here.
I enjoyed this one because there was like multiple people I was talking to that were like trying to deconstruct based on previous Mrs. Met costumes about like exactly when they added the extra padding, whether they did add extra padding. It was like getting into like real like JFK conspiracy territory, where it was trying to break down exactly what happened. And I think the conclusion they'll do is, they definitely added padding to the costume. It wasn't just like a different model or someone. Right. They added like an inch or two. Miss Met has been doing her squats.
No, you should be able to FOIA that. Like we should be able to FOIA that information.
No, she flew to a clinic in Dominican and almost died on the table. But yeah.
My favorite manifestation of that was not the quote tweets or any of that. Pretty much like one of the only like funny things that Elon has done with Twitter, like objectively funny things, is making bookmarks visible.
Oh yeah.
And then 1,000 people, yeah.
That's so funny.
Just like every full body picture of Mrs. Met tweeted by the official Mets account, just like thousands of bookmarks.
No, like a friend of mine did a voice recording tweet of her reading off the Rudy Giuliani sex, but like just matter of factly reading it off, and it got bookmarked so many times, and it's like, you guys are perverts. Like she was,
you guys are
the woman reading
like
the worst sex in the world. Like, yeah, no, the bookmarks thing is very funny. I love it.
Alex, what are your feelings on Mrs. Met?
Feelings on Mrs. Met. I'm probably not as overtly horny for Mrs. Met as the rest of the. I would like her and Mr. Met to have a happy marriage. I think they've had a rough patch over the last few years.
No, they do. They just have their own dynamic. Where
is it that Mr. Met has like a cuck fetish?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Is that what it is?
Exactly.
They absolutely practice ethical non-monogamy.
Well, we don't kink shame. So
he sits in the cuck chair and watches.
Right.
Yeah.
He's the one actually taking all the pictures.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, for sure.
He gets to participate if he's good.
The decision to give Mrs. Met more padding on her ass was probably collectively made by 8 people, all of whom make more than all of us on this podcast each.
Oh yeah.
Like they all are just like, it's all about marketing. It's all about how many people are we expanding our reach to. Then every once in a while, I just remember shit like that.
Just hitting a big red button that says bigger asses, and then watching the bank account just go up and up and up. Like,
it was definitely like the whiteboard scene of James Cameron pitching Aliens by writing alien on a whiteboard and adding a money sign at the end.
Right.
just drawing the hips out. Just drawing the hips out.
Yeah.
One rogue maverick genius in the room with 15 people.
Yeah.
Billy, this is Mrs. Met. Her one deficiency is that her ass is not big enough.
Yeah. I'm giving you $150,000 bonus this year.
We did it. We cracked the code.
Yeah.
Okay, Steven, you're up for your last selection on the main feed.
I'm gonna have to go with just the A's. I was leaving it for you to pick, but
okay, yeah.
I gotta take. I think all of it.
Yeah.
All of it is dumb.
Yeah.
Leaving one of the top media markets in the country for one of the I don't even know, a significantly tinier one.
Right. I think it's like the 38th biggest market or something like that.
Yeah.
And they also hacked it to try to include like Reno and like the surrounding parts of Las Vegas to make it seem like it was bigger too.
A place that probably won't exist in 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Just like
that's generous.
The absolute, just like complete contempt for Oakland and baseball fans in general being shown by fucking Fisher and Cavill and all those fucking freaks. I think if we were to like it can synthesize this very large selection into a moment, it would be when MLB Network cropped out a home run ball.
Yeah,
because
so funny.
It hit and it went into a section that had sell the team signs, like, and just how blatant that shit was on behalf of like all of it. Everything has been just so blatant and rammed through with no concern about people at all that it illustrates how little they care and how little like they can get away with it. They are
so
getting away with it.
Yeah,
so it's just like, who cares? We're gonna have like shitty corporate speak to not lie to your face, but or to not just like be overt to your face. But everybody knows it's a lie, and we don't care because what are you gonna do? Fuck you. What are you gonna do? As I'm talking about this, I'm getting heated.
Yeah. The propaganda machine that they put into effect for this was just, it just shows that they don't even have to bother because they just did not do a good job with it. Like the cutting, the editing out the home run where the home run ball landed was one thing. There was also during the reverse boycott when they were like rebroadcasting it on MLB Network or like on, I think it was on NBC Sports Bay Area, and they just skipped over the entire fifth inning when the sell the team chance went. They were just like, just conserve time for this broadcast. We've cut forward to the seventh inning, and it was like, oh, interesting choice, nice. I wonder why that is. Yeah. So actually, this was going to be one of our last selections too. So we'll just roll it into the same pick as you, Steven. So you brought up the home run ball. There was the skipping over the sell the team chance. We also have two of our pet favorites of Alex and I. One of them was when they announced that they were moving to Las Vegas, the Oakland A's on April 24th, 2023. They said that they are working with the Boring Company and expect to have an underground tunnel stop built for their new $1.5 billion stadium in Las Vegas.
That's a great idea. That's exactly what they need. Yeah.
If they get an underground tunnel stop, I'm going to say this on the pod right now. If they get an underground tunnel stop, I will buy Las Vegas A's season tickets and move to Las Vegas. That's not happening. That's not fucking real. That's not, the Boring Company is not real.
It's
not a thing.
Yeah.
It's real. It is real to those freaks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
I think they actually announced like 30 new stops or something. They had some crazy like number of new stops that were approved. That they're totally going to happen in the next couple of years. Like none of them are ever going to happen.
Well, like in January, I think too, Elon tweeted out a picture of himself at like one of California's like factories or whatever, being like great job, Tesla, California or whatever, wearing an A's jersey, which just, spun all the like sicko A's fans into a frenzy, being like, Elon, please, sir, buy my baseball team. We had to suffer through like 2 months of that. I remember people just like texting me screenshots and being like, I'm so sorry for what's about to come your way. It was miserable.
Elon is never going to buy a sports team. They already have unions. Like we already have the unions here. He's never going to want to get into this industry.
Yeah.
Although the public grants are compelling. Okay, and the other A's thing that Alex and I just were obsessed with this year. This one's kind of a deep cut. So Ken Korak? Ken Korak, who is a A's announcer, broadcaster, commentator for a long time. He wrote a book, and he was putting it out earlier this year. And someone on Reddit discovered a book in a local bookstore that was signed. It was Ken Korak's book, and it was signed.
Oh yeah.
By Dave Cavill.
Dave Cavill, yeah.
He had given away his own signed copy of Ken Korak's book to a local bookstore, and somebody bought it and found it.
I think it was signed by Ken, right? It was signed by
Yeah.
Ken, addressed
Q.
to Dave,
Yeah.
being like,
Right,
Dave,
right. Yes.
good luck. Like, I'm rooting for y'all. Let's get it this year.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Like, I remember it too because the way that that dedication was written or whatever, that message was written to Dave Cavill. It was a thing that was like, it made it sound like him and Dave Cavill had a conversation, and Cavill just totally sold him like, we're going to be great for Oakland. We're going to build this team into something great. Like, no, we're here for the long haul, man.
Here's the inscription. Dave, I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to working with you as the A's enter this new chapter. Your enthusiasm and vision are contagious. I hope you enjoyed the book.
Oh,
Yeah. And now, then what happened? Yeah. Like, it's so rough. It's so rough.
It is. It's brutal. I think that they take the cake for the dumbest team of 2023.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
I think so.
They win like the platinum dunce cap,
Right.
that was going to be my question, and the question was going to be phrased: are there contenders for dumbest team of 2023 that aren't the A's?
Well, why don't we answer that question in the Patreon bonus content?
Yeah, that sounds
We're going to
good.
wrap that up here for a couple more picks and the answer to who else was contending for dumbest team of 2023. Head over to our Patreon where you can find the bonus version of this episode. Stephen, Lauren, Jane, thank you so much. This was just the best. This is the best thing that we do every year. I really
It's so
appreciate
fun.
it.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It makes the baseball season worth it, if we're being quite honest.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you to Batting Around. Thank you to you, Alex. Thank you to everybody who listened through our very long, lengthy, notes-based introduction to this episode, which was delineating all of the differences in our Patreon. I promise we're only going to do that full version of that once this off season for everybody who's like, all right, guys, we get it. Like, we get it, the Patreon. But I will be plugging it and reminding people and talking about what kind of episodes we're doing and what is available. So just prepare yourself. Thank you to everybody who's been calling in for the last couple of weeks to keep our voicemail box alive. You've done great work. We are going to round up all of those questions and answer them at some point on an episode in the near future. We just didn't have time because the content is just churning. Now that the baseball season is over, this is when the real content starts.
Yeah.
That number is 785-422-5881. I think that's it. That's all we got.
Yes, that's it for this week. As you mentioned, we've got some really fun stuff coming down the pipeline, so be sure to stick around. Don't leave just because the baseball season's over. We're still having fun here.
Someone told me that they really appreciated my joke about how everybody went to Effectively Wild to hear about the playoffs and the real stuff, and now they're going to come crawling back to us. Yep. And I was like, you know what? You see me. Thank you. We'll be back next week.
I'm Alex Rodriguez. Tipping pitches.
Tipping pitches.
This is the one that I love the most.
Tipping pitches.
So we'll see you next week. See ya!